Hi guys, my name is Ruby and today I'll be telling you my coming out story. Recently, a young family member of mine came out to me, and this person is really close to me ever since this person was young. I get a lot of questions and this person feels lost, and I feel like I could really be helping a lot of people, not just this person. So I'm gonna start off by telling you that I felt like I was different from a very, very young age. When I would see, girls, I wasn't simply wanting to be their friend. I always wanted more. When people talked about, when your little tiny classmates talk about boyfriends, I was thinking about the girl I thought was pretty. Or when I was watching TV, I always thought, oh, that girl's pretty, or I would watch the movie because of the girl, not the guy. But then when my friends would say, or my cousins or anything would say, oh, this guy's hot, I would just be like, I don't see it, but okay, he's hot, whatever. So that's how it starts. So then you grow up and you start being confused. So when I was 19 is when I had my first girlfriend. I made a Twitter account, a fan account, I guess, and I started talking to all these girls. So I had a lot of friends that were girls online, and then this one person I started talking differently to. Turns out this girl became more than just a friend, so we started dating, and all of a sudden we wanted to move with each other. So I first came out to one of my best friends. I was sitting next to her. I invited her to my house and I'm like, I need to tell you something. So she was very confused because, when somebody tells you that, it's usually something important. So I'm like, I have a girlfriend. And she's like, what? She was not expecting for me to say that, I guess. And she started asking so many questions, like, where is she from here? Have you seen her in person? I don't know. All these questions. It was a long time ago. So then I'm like, no, she lives in Iowa. So then, I started crying, and she gave me a hug. She was like, it'll be okay. Things will be good, and you know what you're doing. You know who you are. So, I don't know, that really motivated me. That was the first person I ever told, and that was really scary. Then I told one of my other friends on April Fool's Day, and I pretended it was a joke. And then when I told her it was April Fool's or whatever, she's like, oh, you scared me. So that frightened me. I'm like, why is she getting scared for something like that? So then I went to her house, and I'm like, I need to talk to you. She's like, you know what, if you want to tell me you have a girlfriend or whatever, it's okay. She's like, I'm here for you. So then I'm like, yes, that's what I want to talk to you about. And it's true, and I wasn't joking. I just wanted to see what your reaction was. But it turned out she was fine and everything, so that made me feel better. And I told my third friend, and she was always okay with it. She was fine. But she always thought I was going to tell her something else. So then, time went by, I moved in with this person, and I needed somebody in my family to know this was eating me inside. It always was. And I texted my brother, and the conversation we were having led to me telling him that I had a girlfriend. And I turned my phone around upside down. I didn't want to see whatever text came in. I was crying, and I'm like, what if he doesn't like it? What if he starts questioning me? And then I looked at my phone, and he's like, I already knew that. And I'm like, do you hate me? And he's like, no, why would I hate you? And I started crying immediately. To me, that was a big step. You guys watching this, if you're still in, you know how scary this is. We all go through this at one point or another. whatever you're expecting from from your family member or whatever is usually true. And for somebody to be on your side, that's very comforting, especially when you feel like you're alone. So this was 2011. So then I felt better about myself, but not really, because I was the person who never talked to anybody about anything. Like, I just kept everything to myself always, and I still do. I mean, for me to be telling you this story is hard for me. So, in 2015, I think it was, I got a call from my grandma, and she left me a voicemail, and she told me my dad was in the hospital. So I took my first flight out there back to Texas, and I mean, I told myself that it was time for me to tell him, because I didn't want nothing to happen to him, and all of a sudden I never knew what he thought of me or if he still loved me after I told him. Because when I called my dad, he said the doctor told him he had 3 months left to live, and that was, I don't know, I just wanted to go see him at that moment. So then when I was there, he was in the hospital for like the entire 2 weeks I was there. Every time I kept wanting to tell him, somebody, my parent, my mom was with me, or my grandma was with me, or somebody was with me, that I still wasn't ready for them to know. So I'm like, I have to tell him. So then I wrote him a note, and I told him something along the lines that I liked girls and I was gay, and I hope he still loved me, and to please keep it a secret because I didn't want anybody else to know yet. So then I was scared. I went home. No, I didn't go home. I left with my brother, and then I was at Sonic. I was shaking this entire time because, I don't know, you don't want your family to hate you. So then I asked my brother, I was telling my brother, I'm like, should I call him to see what he thought, or I just need to know what he's thinking? So I dialed the hospital room number, and he was like, and I'm like, hello? And he answered. He's like, all cool. I'm like, he started like this conversation asking where we were at or what we were doing. I was telling him I was at Sonic, and I was still shaking, and I was looking at my brother like, oh my god, what is he gonna say? Like, I don't know, you guys probably understand, I don't know. And then he's like, all of a sudden he's like, I haven't read the letter yet, but I will, I promise, before I go to sleep. And I was like, it was like a relief, but at the same time it wasn't, because I wanted him to know already. So then I'm like, oh. And then I went home. So like, I couldn't sleep that night. It was already late. I couldn't sleep, and in the morning I told my mom, okay, I'm gonna go see my dad at the hospital. And then my mom's like, oh, okay, I'll go with you. And I didn't want her to go with me because I wanted to know if he told me anything. So then we got ready, whatever, we left. And it was so awkward going into my dad's room. I went in, and then like, I just gave him a hug quick, and my mom gave him a hug. And I don't know, it was just weird. And then like, we all walked out of the room to go to the cafeteria to get some food. And then my dad's all like, oh, I forgot my cane in my room. And my mom's all like, oh, I'll go get it. And I was like, yes, you gave us a moment alone. So then, as soon as my mom left, my dad told me, he like looked at me and he's like, I read your letter, and I want you to know that no matter what happens, no matter, like, people experiment and they like things, and I'm just happy that you're happy. Whatever makes you happy, I'm happy. And he gave me a hug, and his eyes were like watery, like he wanted to cry. But then that made me want to cry, and I was so happy. And then my mom came, and we had to pretend like we didn't know. So then, that was my coming out to my dad. I know I could have told him in person, and I wish I could have told him in person, but his situation never right. So with my mom, it's a different story because my mom is like a really strict mom. You know, like Hispanic moms or whatever you see in shows where like this is how it was with my mom. Every time my mom called me, she's like, if you ever tell me you're lesbian, that's gonna be the end. She's like, I don't want to know anything about you. I don't know. She always told me that that's the biggest sin anybody could commit. And like every time she talked about that, it made me mad. And then she'd always be like, why are you mad? And I don't know. So then one day I was talking to my dad when I went to go visit again, because you know, my dad, as strong as he was, nothing happened to him. So then I went back, I don't know, a year later, and then I'm like, I'm gonna tell my mom. I'm finally gonna tell her. I need to tell her. So this was 2015. And he's like, don't tell her because it might not even end up being true. And that really hurt me, because here I was thinking my dad had accepted everything and that he was okay with it, but in reality he thought that I would like turn back or whatever. And then I stopped talking to him that afternoon, and he's like, what's wrong? What did I do? I'm like, I thought like you actually believe me, and like, I don't know. It really hurt, I guess. But then he's like, don't tell your mom because you know how she is. So then I didn't tell her then. I guess I waited till I left. I left her a letter again. And the whole way home, because I drove from Texas to Iowa, the whole way home I was like dying inside because I knew how my mom would react, and I was just waiting for that phone call. So then I kept asking my brother, did she read it? Did she read it? And he's like, no, not yet. So then finally he tells me, oh, she read it. And then I was waiting for a phone call. There was no phone call. And then one day my roommate texted me. She's like, there's a letter from your mom here. And then I just wanted to get home to read it. I knew it wasn't going to be a good letter. And you know, when I got home, I went straight to read that letter. I mean, I knew that letter was going to say a lot of bad things. And I did cry, but it didn't hurt me as much as I thought it would, because I was expecting that reaction. She actually did say a lot of bad things in that letter. I don't know, maybe one day I'll read it to you guys, but I doubt it. She didn't talk to me for a long time. And then, like, my sister, she finally convinced my mom to talk to me. But when she would talk to me, I don't know, it'd just be different. She told me once that she didn't know how she was gonna look at me the next time she saw me. But like when I did go back to visit her, she didn't look at me the same. She didn't talk to me the same. She was really disappointed in me, and of course I was disappointed in her. And it really did hurt me. But like my brother and my dad were really good at being on my side. They defended me anytime they could. And that to me meant a lot, especially from my brother. Like, so every time now I see my mom, there's always a big fight about it. But like, my dad, like the last conversation I had with him before he finally passed away, like, I told him I was getting married. He was so happy. And that's the last time I talked to him. But like, please don't wait to the last moment to tell somebody that you know that it's gonna take it good. I always knew my dad was gonna be okay with it, but I just never did it, and when I did, it was too late. But like, I knew he loved me and accepted me no matter what. what, and he was so excited about me getting married. Okay, I had to stop the video, but thanks for listening to my story, guys. I don't know if it was cohesive or if you are able to understand it, but I tried my best, and I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful life, and I hope you have nothing but joy in your lifetime. And follow whatever your heart desires. Don't stop just because your family doesn't want you to be one way or not, because at the end of everything, it's your happiness against everything else. So just follow your heart, no matter what people tell you, or no matter how life decides to treat you. I mean, nowadays it's more common than like even 5 years ago. I mean, every time I come out to new people, they don't care. Like, they're still talking to me the same way they always have. They support me in everything. All the people I work with, people I go to school with, like, I don't know. Like, when people say they're not gonna see you different, it's because it's true. This happens to a lot of people, more people than you would think, and like I said, I wish you the best luck in the world. And like this video if you want her coming out story. Subscribe. There's links for our Tumblr, our Snapchat, our Instagram down below. Thanks for watching. Oh, and we have to say hi to
our friend
Martha Draco from
Thank you for
London.
watching us.
Thanks
it means
for watching.
a lot for us.
You made our day a few times.
Yes.
2 times, twice. You made our
times.
day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.